establishing a true understanding of exactly what growth, smart growth means has probably been the biggest challenge that we face as a community. For years, we've grappled with this issue, whether the county is moving too fast, whether or not the county is initiating smart growth. The question really lies in the people and the people's understanding of what actual growth means and what it represents. The Maryland Independent recently did an article describing the county as, along with Montgomery County, as two of the fastest growing counties in the state of Maryland. But when you look at the actual numbers, when you compare the two counties, those numbers equal approximately 87,000 people in Montgomery County and about 9,000 people in Charles County. Another thing that I thought was interesting in looking at that article was the fact, because too often we hear that our schools are overcrowded, but the article made reference to the fact that the actual number of students in our public schools has actually been flat. There's actually been no actual increase in the number of students in our public schools. What does all that represent? It's really a question for us to really look at what is really important for us as a community. I've been an advocate for increasing our commercial tax base. I don't think there's anybody on this panel that's arguing that we need to continue to bring more and more people in this community. We need to focus more on business development to create more opportunities to provide the resources necessary for public education and public safety.
Before I start about growth, one of the components of this question is about taxes. And I think we should set the record straight as it regards taxes here in Charles County. We have two current commissioners who have stated they have not raised taxes. One of the very first things done by this Board of County Commissioners is raise the county transfer tax on all real estate transactions. On average, that costs you about $1,500 for you buying or selling your house. In addition to that, go back and look at the Maryland Independent for the last 2 years and read the constant yield tax rate notice. And what it states is the commissioners are proposing to raise your taxes if they do not reduce your tax rate, which they did not do. By law, you are required to put that notice in when you raise taxes, and that's exactly what happened. When you look at the aspects, of growth, you have to look at how does that affect our schools. As Commissioner Collins just said, our schools have been flat. One thing you may want to notice is that Lackey High School 7 years ago had 1,200 schools. Today, 1,200 students. Today, Lackey High School has 900 students, and that is one of the schools that was rezoned in the WCD because of an overcrowding in our schools. The WCD was implemented on the western side of Charles County in the place where we actually have school allocations. If you go one step further and you want to talk about quality of life, our traffic is absolutely the worst in the United States, as referenced by data from the Census Bureau. One thing we do not need is we do not need another residential development in Charles County. I will fight to keep residential development out of Charles County until we have comprehensive transportation plans to move our people from point A to point B and improve the quality of life for everyone here in Charles County.
Thank you very much. There are, based on the stuff that's said, it changes my presentation a little bit. We actually do have tremendous overcrowding in some of our schools. I'm going to give you some numbers, folks. Berry Elementary School, the state rated capacity for Berry Elementary is 658 children. Do you know how many children we have in that school? We have 967 children in that school. In Craig, state rated is 406. We have 522 children in that school. Matula, 554, state rated. We have 780 children in that school. And last year, we took in 300 more children. The year before that, 500. In the last 2 years of our administration, we've had 800 more children added to our school system. You can't tell me that sprawl development hasn't added to that. That is what causes our problem. I'm pleased to hear about the residential growth. I'm telling you this, people talk about no growth, slow growth. There are enough permits, projects in the pipeline to continue the growth pattern that we've had over the last decades for the next 10 to 15 years in this county, which we cannot stop. If we stop today and said we were not going to issue one more permit, we have that many that will continue to grow in this county. All we're doing here is trying to reduce the sprawl growth, and this all gets the quality of life, and we do and have looked out very much, not only for our children, but when we get into transportation, we put a roundabout, Billingsley and Middletown Road. We're building Western Parkway, and we just got $13 million from the state to improve Route 301 and Route 5, the bottleneck up there. No one has been able to do that in decades. We've got that done because we understand the issue of transportation. Thank you very much.
I'll talk a little bit about cause and effect, and we have proof of that. 2000, the population was 120,000. 2010, 140,000. Now it's about 150,000. There's no way that the schools can be flat with their population. There's just no way. So with that cause and effect, let's talk about a couple of things. And I'm sorry if I'm going to talk quick because I only got 2 minutes. Charles County and Beechy County do share the worst commute in the state and some of the worst commutes in the nation. We have the highest property tax per rate per $100 assessed in the state. Most portable classrooms per child. One of the worst drops in house values in the state in between 2007 and 2013. Third lowest in Maryland of land preserved in the state. And most forest cut per dwelling unit in the state. These statistics are in direct correlation to the unbridled growth and poorly planned development that has occurred here in the last approximately 20 years. It's made Charles County one of the fastest growing counties in the state in terms of percentage change. Subsequently, this has proven that it costs more and our residential taxes can bring in to provide for the infrastructure of all this growth for such services such as schools, buses, et cetera, et cetera. So to protect the citizens' quality of life and our environment, we must curtail sprawl development. It's just a given. Guilford Run, Ashland's Discovery, to name a few. Keep Billingsley Road rural, and protect our waterways such as Magdalene Creek and Port Tobacco River. We've seen problems with Tech Park. We've seen problems with the Maryland airport area, and we need to do things like bring in more green builders to develop in TOD neighborhoods, implement light rail, call for rural legacy areas and PDRs to help landowners with conservation easements. All of this will improve home values by reducing competition and promoting investment in priority funding areas. Thank you.
District 1, I own a business where I drive around the county all day. So I'm well aware of how many new houses there are, how hard our traffic is, how long it takes to get from La Plata to the other end of Waldorf. And for me, time is money. Lots of things that can be done, and it all lends to smarter growth. We need to make walkable neighborhoods. We need more transportation options. We need to preserve our open space, our critical environmental areas, and our farmland. Our county is beautiful, and there are many resources that we can use for economic development. We've got beaches, we've got hiking trails, we've got parks. Conservation and preservation is economic development. We need to use what we have and not continue with the sprawl development.
Well, she was going to go longer. Good evening, Matt Wills, candidate for Charles County Commissioner, District 1. Land use and planning is one of the most important responsibilities of the county commissioners. We all want to balance growth with our ability to pay for infrastructure in our schools. Now, we have to live with what is. Docket 90 is a fact, and I do appreciate that they were able to negotiate reducing the number of houses. See, I don't say everything you do is wrong, Peter. You know, you got to do something right. But course, we want to balance our growth with our ability to pay. But because we are facing the problems that we see today, in large part because of Docket 90, that doesn't mean that we do just the opposite and be excessive in terms of stopping growth, such as with the WCD. Now, I like to look at this in terms of a commissioner who is thinking about the people. The key to any land use development is to come up with a balanced growth plan that can be embraced on a long-term basis by most stakeholders and is best overall for the county and not any one particular interest group. And it is paramount that the process undertaken to develop the plan is open, fair, and allows for due consideration of all interested parties. In other words, we must make major land use policy growth decisions as a community. And it's the community and not special interest groups that should have the ultimate say in how our county will balance protecting our environment and business growth development. Thank you.